In this video, we're answering the question, what exactly is a fractional C-suite executive? And more importantly, why is full-time leadership no longer the default for growing companies? First, I'm going to break down the critical difference between a fractional executive and a consultant. Because if you get this wrong, you will position yourself out of the market. Then I'll explain why the traditional 40-hour executive role is becoming obsolete for most mid-market companies. I'll also walk you through how fractional executives take point on strategy, leadership, and results, unlike advisors who just hand over a report. And finally, I'll show you how fractional executives take accountability for the results, tying their success directly to the company's success. Let's dive in. When people hear the term fractional executive, they often assume it just means part-time consultant. But that is a fundamental misunderstanding of the model. A fractional C-suite executive is an embedded leader who takes accountability for a specific business outcome on a part-time basis. They're not there to give advice and then walk away. They're there to build the engine, run the team, and own the results. If you want to know what a fractional executive is, the answer is they're an operator, not an advisor. Companies are increasingly realizing they don't need a full-time executive to solve a specific problem. They need the right expertise applied at the right moments of leverage. So let's break down exactly why this shift is happening, and more importantly, how you can capitalize on it. The first thing you have to understand is the difference between consulting and fractional leadership. Consultants sell deliverables. They sell reports, they sell audits, they sell recommendations. They come in, they analyze the situation, they hand the CEO a 50-page deck, and then leave the execution up to the internal team. Fractional executives sell outcomes. You step in as a fractional CMO, CFO, or COO, and you're not just diagnosing the problem, you're fixing it. You're managing the budget, you're hiring the team, you're running the weekly meetings, and you're taking accountability for the metrics. You are an embedded member of the leadership team. The only difference between you and a full-time executive is that you're doing it in 2 days a week instead of 5. If you position yourself as a consultant, you will be treated as an external vendor. If you position yourself as a fractional executive, you will be treated like a strategic partner. The second thing to understand is why the market is shifting towards fractional leadership. For a long time, the default assumption was that if a company needed executive leadership, they had to hire someone full-time. But for companies in the 5 to 50 million range, a full-time C-suite executive is often an expensive mistake. They don't need 40 hours a week of strategic thinking. They need 10 hours of high-level strategy and 30 hours of tactical execution. When they hire a full-time executive, that executive ends up doing $50 an hour work just to fill up their time. Fractional leadership solves this problem. It allows companies access to top-tier talent at a fraction of a cost, aligning leadership to the moments of highest leverage. As a fractional executive, your value is not in the hours you work. Your value is in the speed at which you can diagnose a problem and then implement the solution. The third piece of the puzzle is how fractional executives actually operate within a company. A true fractional executive is on point for strategy and leadership. You're not just a high-level individual contributor. You are the architect of the department. You set the vision, you define the strategy, and then you lead the team to execute it. This means you're managing people, mentoring junior staff, and making the hard calls that a consultant would never touch. You're sitting in executive team meetings, aligning your department goals with the overall business objectives. You're the one the CEO looks to when things go wrong, but you're also the one who takes the credit when things go right. This level of leadership is what separates a fractional executive from a freelancer or a contractor. You are a leader, first and foremost. The final piece is accountability. Fractional executives own the results. A consultant's job is done when the report is delivered. A fractional executive's job is done when the revenue target is hit, when the cash flow is stabilized, or operations are streamlined. You're tying your success directly to the company's success. And this is why the fractional model is so powerful. It aligns your incentives with the CEO's incentives. You're not trying to rack up billable hours. You're there to deliver the maximum impact in the minimum amount of time. When you take accountability for the results, you become indispensable. You're no longer an expense on the P&L. You're an investment that generates a return. And this is what is core to what it means to be a fractional C-suite executive. So when we talk about what a fractional C-suite executive is, we're not talking about a part-time consultant or an advisor who hands over a report. We're talking about an embedded leader who owns the outcome. It means understanding that full-time leadership is no longer the default for growing companies. It means taking on-point strategy and leadership and then acting as the architect of that department. And it means owning the results, tying your success directly to the company's success. And when you embrace this model, you stop selling your time and you start selling transformation. Now that you understand what a fractional executive is and why the market is shifting, if you want to know exactly how to position yourself to win in these roles, go on and watch this video next, how to position yourself as a fractional executive. In that video, I'll show you how to articulate your value so CEOs see you as a strategic partner and not an external vendor. Go watch that video next.